I think what annoys me the most about online discourse is how there are so many people who just say anything and try to hope everyone just agrees. You don't take the moment to sit back and actually read what you were about to put out into the ether and actually think, maybe this isn't the smartest thing to say. Maybe I should word this differently. Maybe I should come up with something else, because if I put this out, maybe it's not going to have the intended reaction that I want. Maybe it's not going to have the impact that I hope happens. I want a good impact to happen, but if I send this out into the landscape hellhole that is social media, it's not going to have the effect that I want it to have, which is an actual conversation about an issue. There are too many people who are comfortable saying the first thought in their mind and just spewing it out and having the second thought of, oh, everybody's going to agree with this because I said the right thing. I'm fighting for this group, and because I did that, everyone's going to agree. But the problem with almost every single person that does this is that every single time there is a group of people who see that and say, hey, dumbass, what you just said, what you just posted, what you just tweeted is absolutely dumb, delete it. And the person who posted it has two options. One, actually understand that it was dumb, delete it, and come back with an abridged version, or grandstand to the highest degree, because even though they said something dumb, they're still trying to prove a point that there's an issue here, and their use of dumb verbiage and their dumb post is going to get people to understand. And with all that being said, and I quote, maybe men commit in their late 20s and 30s more, because that's when some of them realize women are people and they know they can never recover from the guilt of how they treated us. So ignoring the generalization, ignoring the fact that as men get older, they tend to commit suicide more, ignoring the fact that men have been statistically proven to commit suicide more than women, why would you feel so bold to say something like this? To just bring it up as if men in their 20s and their 30s are just going to start growing guilt over time over how they treated women. To have this generalized aspect that it's just men who target women, and then later in life, if they have a daughter or if they have to take care of their mother, they're going to start thinking to themselves, oh, remember that time I pushed a girl into some mud in pre-K? Oh, remember that time I cheated on somebody? Oh, that's going to cause me so much guilt. Oh, that's going to cause me so much pain. Oh, that's going to cause me so many issues. And that's not to say it doesn't happen. That's not to excuse abuse. That's not to throw a pass at men who treat women like shit. It's to say to this woman and this woman alone, and maybe anybody who saw that and agreed with that, are you choosing to ignore depression, mental issues, the abuse that a man suffers over time in their own life, just so that you could be the oh so sanctimonious feminist trying to stick it to all the evil men out there who are a part of the patriarchy? Because if that's the game you're trying to play, holy hell, shut the fuck up. Because if you're doing a disservice to mental health and what could happen in regards to mental health, you are doing that to not just men, but women too, to anybody who is suffering to mental health. Because if you're just going to broaden it out as to say, oh, all the 20-year-old men and all the 30-year-old men, ignoring the fact that men in their 60s also do this, you are going to start thinking about all this, and it's going to cause you to unalive yourself. And that's mainly because of how you treated us women. First of all men don't abuse women. All 20-year-old young men, all 30-year-old men, 40s, 50s, 60s, do not abuse women. Some of them don't interact with women. Some of them unalive themselves because they can't interact with any human being. You didn't think about that, did you? You didn't think about anything else. You just wanted your feminist hot take. So when people saw that and criticized that and actually wanted this person to address why they worded this like that, you know what this person did? Deleted the post, because criticism is the ultimate sin on online discourse. And if you criticize anybody, oh, you committed a virtuous sin against somebody who was standing up for some marginalized and oppressed group. And what makes it even weirder is that this person came back and put up some weird, oh my God, I've ended up on this side of TikTok. Oh, help me, get me away from all these people. All the men's rights activists, they're going to harass me. I'm this thing. I support this group and this group. None of that excuses the dumb shit you just said. None of that gives you a pass in order to say whatever you want. I don't care who you support. I don't care if you spend all your money on Make-A-Wish kids. That doesn't excuse the dumb shit you posted and how you think you could just not address that. And so, after more and more people questioned her, she went back and posted a 3-minute video addressing it. And even in that address, the dumbass still tried to throw that little notion in at the end that women, they attempted more, and so it may not be fatal, but they still attempted more.
What people have taken it to mean. I posted that video specifically in response to a trend under this sound where men were making jokes about killing women, going on dates and then killing them. I used to work at a women's domestic violence charity, and I know how incredibly common that is and how cavalier and uncaring a lot of people are in response to that happening. I also know a lot of men in their late 20s and 30s who have told me that that was around the age when they started to realize what the women they cared about had been through, what society had put them through, how many of them had been sexually assaulted, how many of them had been abused, how many of them had felt incredible amounts of fear in situations that should have been fun or helpful or nurturing. How many of them still get harassed on a daily basis. And they told me how difficult it was for them to reconcile being a man in a world that does that to women. And how hard it was for them to think about the ways in which their behavior as younger men might have contributed to that, contributed to a world that really hurt a lot of the women that they cared about. Do I think that that's the only reason men kill themselves? No, of course not. That's not what I said, and that would be a ridiculous thing to say. It's a very complex issue, and I think there are lots of reasons, and I do think that might be part of what contributes to it. Yeah, I absolutely say that, and I stand behind it. But the video I posted was specifically in response to the trend under this sound and in response to the men who were making those videos. What I was trying to get across was, at some point, when those men get a little bit older, and maybe they fall in love, or they have a daughter, or something clicks, and they realize how hurtful the world can be to women, and how their behavior contributed to it, that's gonna hurt. It's really gonna hurt them. And I hope that they're okay. I hope they get through it. What's important to mention when you're talking about this kind of thing is that women actually attempt suicide at equal, sometimes greater rates than men. They just choose methods that are often less fatal. So I'm genuinely sorry that I worded my post badly and I gave the impression that I was saying any man who commits suicide is a bad person or a misogynist. That's not what I meant at all. It's a very complex issue, and I have some theories about part of why it might be. I have some theories about part of why it might be. I have some theories about part of why it might be higher in men of those ages.
Yeah, they do attempt suicides more, but you know who actually has it succeed more? Men, you brain dead housewife that nobody wants to touch. You're trying so hard to be the hero, you're making yourself out to be the dumbass cartoon villain. And it's embarrassing for not only yourself, but the people you tend to support. And again, for I believe the second time, this is not to excuse abuse by men towards women. It's to say, don't just label one thing in one aspect. There are multiple aspects to suicide. And if you're just going to try to drum it up to one thing and act like your theory is the correct theory, you're in for a rude awakening when you actually have to deal with that face up. You could say, oh, I know about all this. Oh, I've studied this. Oh, I've done the research. But based on what you post, no, you didn't. So in the future, to every single person that wants to fight for some group and you think about posting something, take a minute. Just take that 1 minute in time to actually look back and study what you were about to put out. Actually think to yourself, is that going to help or is that going to hurt? Is that going to get my message across or if that's going to hurt my message? And if it's the latter, if it ends up hurting your message, actually delete that and come back with something smarter. I'm not saying you can't speak. I'm saying come up with a smarter decision in terms of what it is you're about to put out on the internet. Okay? We clear? I know we're not, because apparently to some of you, I hate women. So subscribe to the channel. I hope all you idiots that like to do all this and think that I'm wrong and think that, oh, there's nothing wrong with this, I hope you all have a very bad day. And the rest of you, subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Jesus Christ, mental health actually means nothing to some people.